Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a totally fascinating intersection in modern sports. On one hand, you've got this romantic, almost fairy tale resurgence of a veteran cricket superstar in the 2026 IPL. But on the other hand, you have the cold, hard, heavily calculated data science that is literally reshaping how franchise cricket operates behind the scenes. We're going to look at how a game that was once ruled by gut feeling has been completely transformed by algorithms, and how, ironically, all those data points point right back to the unquantifiable magic of human resilience. It's a brilliant story, so let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Bhuvneshwar Kumar comeback. Okay, let's dive into this.
We're starting with one of the most talked about stories of the 2026 IPL season. I mean, just look at this number, 21 wickets in only 11 matches. After kind of getting phased out of the national setup back around 2022, veteran seamer Bhuvneshwar Kumar came roaring back into the spotlight, leading an absolutely spectacular charge for Royal Challengers Bengaluru. This incredible run put him right at the top of the Purple Cap race midway through the season, anchoring RCB's title defense. But you know what's truly remarkable here? It's not just the sheer volume of wickets, it's exactly how he's getting them. He's generating this sharp swing both ways to strike early with the new ball in the power play, while also showing just absolute remarkable control at the death. He is out there executing highly specialized, high-pressure roles flawlessly.
But here's the funny part. When you ask Bhuvi about this incredible statistical success, you get a wonderfully grounded, almost comically anticlimactic response. He actually told RCB Media, "Honestly, at this point in time, I am not feeling anything special." He went on to say that whenever he made long-term goals, it never worked for him. So he's basically just doing the same things he's always done. It's wild, right? While a massive machine of supercomputers is tracking and calculating his every single move, Bhuvi is just going out there and bowling. This contrast beautifully sets up our core theme for today, the clash between a player's grounded human intuition and the massive, data-driven modeling happening in the background. Because even though Bhuvi feels like he's just playing his natural game, the franchise ecosystem around him has evolved to value his exact phase-specific skills more than ever before.
Section 2. The Analytics Revolution.
And this brilliantly illustrates why. To really understand why a player with Bhuvi's specific skill set is so incredibly valuable today, we've got to zoom out and look at the overarching ecosystem. We're moving far away from the traditional stats. The volume-based metrics like a batter's total runs or a bowler's overall average. Historically, yeah, that's all selectors relied on. But in the ultra-compressed, highly volatile format of T20 cricket, those traditional metrics often totally fail to capture a player's true value. Now it's all about impact-based analytics. Teams are laser-focused on a bowler's phase-wise economy, like how well do they bowl specifically in the power play or the death overs, or they're looking at a batter's dot ball percentage. It is no longer just about how many runs you score, it's about the situational impact of those runs.
Which brings us to the concept of Moneyball logic in T20 cricket. You've got franchises operating with a fixed salary cap of 120 crores and massive constraints on overseas slots. So bidding decisions are essentially exercises in opportunity cost. Overpaying for a star just based on their overall reputation, that means you lose crucial flexibility elsewhere. Instead, teams use data to exploit market inefficiencies. They are actively hunting for undervalued players who can flawlessly execute very specific roles. This maximizes their expected value without breaking the bank. So the next time you see a team pass on a massive marquee superstar at the auction and the commentators are just left scratching their heads, well, this is exactly why. They're protecting their flexibility and targeting precise roles instead.
Section 3. Decoding the new metrics.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly what these data analysts are looking at. If we break down the specific data points by a role, you'll see a massive shift. For batting, analysts are no longer staring at traditional averages, no way. They're tracking intent and momentum. They're looking at boundary percentage, dot ball percentage, and strike rate against specific bowling types, like spin in the middle overs. A quick 30 off 10 balls is often valued way higher than a sluggish 50 off 35 balls. And for bowling, it's all about repeatable, contextual skills. It's not just, did you take a wicket? It's, what is your Yorker execution rate under pressure? The data literally separates the outcome from the underlying repeatable skill.
And honestly, we can't talk about modern metrics without talking about the complete package. Analytics now quantify what's known as the two-skill premium. This estimates the combined mathematical impact of a player who can both bat and bowl. And this has led to an absolutely massive demand for pace bowling all-rounders. A perfect example? Cameron Green becoming the most expensive overseas player in IPL history at a staggering 25.2 crores. Think about that number for a second. It's huge. Plus, even fielding isn't left to the eye test anymore. Measurable athletic values like catching efficiency, boundary-saving dives, and direct hit conversion rates are directly factored into a player's auction price. Why? Because the data proves these tiny fractional margins drastically swing T20 win probabilities.
Section 4. Data-driven team strategies.
So, let's move from all these theoretical numbers to the practical application. How are actual IPL franchises taking this massive amount of ball-by-ball data and using it to build championship-winning rosters? Well, to ground our team case studies, we're drawing directly from rigorous academic research published in the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research. This paper meticulously documents how franchises have shifted from intuition-led recruitment to context-sensitive evaluation, and it highlights two distinct, highly successful models that are really worth looking at.
The first is the Rajasthan Royals and their systematized talent mining. They use what their director of strategy and analytics calls a triple lock model. It goes like this. First, analysts create data profiles based on domestic metrics. Second, scouts actually go out and observe the player's live performance to verify that data. And third, coaches make sure the player fits the team's tactical alignment. All three locks must turn. This rigorous three-step pipeline is exactly how they uncovered talents like the 14-year-old phenom Vaibhav Suryavanshi. Yes, you heard that right, 14 years old, a player who immediately validated their data-driven trust by hitting the joint fastest IPL 100 by an Indian in his maiden season. Unbelievable.
Now contrast that highly developmental pipeline with the Gujarat Titans. They approach squad building as pure, predictive moneyballers. Since they started, GT has focused on cold, predictive optimization rather than chasing marquee star power. They emphasize relentless role clarity, and they invest heavily in players who show high-pressure situational value in the data. We're talking about players who might not have the biggest names on a billboard, but whose metrics prove they can execute under extreme stress. A perfect example of this is Rahul Tewatia. His aggregate traditional numbers might not turn heads, but his situational finishing efficiency, it consistently wins them tight matches.
Section 5. The limits of data.
So, the crucial point is, as powerful as these data ecosystems are, they aren't infallible. We have to understand why these predictive models sometimes completely break down in a highly pressurized, very human sport. First up, T20 cricket suffers from small sample sizes. A player might only face 10 to 15 innings a season. That makes the data highly volatile and susceptible to just plain luck. Second, contextual mismatches are a huge blind spot. As the researchers note, hitting sixes in Australia's Big Bash League doesn't automatically mean you'll dominate the IPL. You've got totally different pitch conditions, different venue dimensions, and the unique pressure cooker that is Indian cricket. And that leads to the final, and honestly most important limitation. You simply cannot quantify human pressure.
Which brings us full circle, tying this academic research right back to our opening story about Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Look, analytics is an incredible tool. It can parse millions of data points to identify the exact phase of the game where Bhuvi's swing is most lethal. It can calculate the absolute optimal field placement for his Yorker. It totally structures judgment and helps franchises avoid overpaying for past reputations. But at the end of the day, a spreadsheet cannot step onto the pitch in front of 40,000 screaming fans and execute that perfect delivery. Analytics found Bhuvi's optimal role, sure, but it's his very human resilience, his experience, and his calm mindset that actually executes it.
So what does this all mean? Well, it leaves us with a fascinating question to end on. As the IPL continues to grow, and as the data models become even more predictive and complex, where exactly does the human element fit in? In a sport increasingly driven by algorithms, simulations, and market efficiencies, will human intuition and the sheer unpredictable magic of a veteran's comeback ever truly be quantified? It's definitely something to think about the next time you watch a data-approved bowler run in to bowl the final over of a tight match. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the numbers. Welcome to